Well, sweet Danae, welcome, because tonight you are going to give a lecture on social emotional learning. And we've all been looking forward to it because it's you're quite popular here in Denmark, and as well when we have our teen and youth camps, you always join us. So we can't wait to hear what you want to say. And once again, it's being recorded, and if there are any questions, just send me the email and I will keep an eye on it. Well, good luck there.
So hello, everyone. It feels really seriously nice and satisfying to be here and be able to talk to you. But most of all, because every time I give a lecture about giftedness, it's something that fulfills me. But most of all, for this particular lecture, I'm very pleased to be giving this lecture for Greet and Johnny. Not the Institute, not Denmark, not you. I just want to make clear this. Because Greet and Johnny, I'm going to give you a short mini story of us. We met in 2000, what was it, Greet? 2016? No, 2017? Something like this. And we met in
2018.
Denmark. 18? Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, so 2018. And I left the US when I finished my MA program, and after 7 years staying there, and I came to Greece, and I was trying to find a way to spread the need for the social and emotional support of gifted and talented individuals. And seriously, people were clueless. And that was my vision. 2018, and I arrived in 2015, 2016 in Greece. 2018, so I had the luck to participate to this training for the World Game. And I was there with all my mentors, and from the US and from Canada and from all over the world. We were like 11 people, and we were with Johnny and Greet. And we were talking for each other while having the training, which was amazing with this with the World Game. And they were great hosts, and we were getting to know each other because we really didn't know each other as people. And I was explaining to them what I'm being through in order to support my vision in Greece. And what they did for me was the facilitation of this dream to come true. They definitely worked as facilitators for me to also make it to Greece. So this is why I feel extremely happy to be in this lecture, because I'm trying just a little bit to give this back to them, if I will ever make it to give it back to them. So that's a small intro. The second thing, before we get more into this, a few months ago, 2021, I finished with my PhD in the Medland, where I studied the needs of the gifted adults who are addict, maybe, or have bad habits that have to do with any kind of cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, and so forth. I'm really happy to say that to you because it's actually the second lecture I'm giving since that time, because it really supported the idea of what we're doing right now. Because the whole basis of why lots of gifted adults end up into having this kind of bad habits have to do with the not being supported and not knowing how to support themselves social and emotionally. Saying that too, I'm gonna move on into who I am and what I'm doing here in Greece. So what I'm doing here in Greece, it looks a lot with what Grit and Johnny do for Denmark. Here in Greece, we're having like Mensa. Of course, you have Mensa there, people who identify gifted kids, but there are no programs that educate their families themselves. They support them all along. They give a place for them to meet and so forth. Do research for them, publish stuff for them and so forth. So this is what my Center for the Advancement of Noesis does in Greece. This is why we cooperate with the Gifted Institute, Grit and Johnny. And I'm very happy that you participate and you're gonna be supported by the Gifted Institute. You're in good hands. But I'll start with, you know, we have all this giftedness surrounded, but this myth of intelligence and IQ, simply IQ. And I'm with you with this. I mean, cool, you know, yes, IQ is a thing that we do measure, but what do we measure with IQ? And why is it important in giftedness? All this stuff, I don't think it's really analyzed. So let's say that IQ gives an idea to us how a brain, how not even a brain, like the neurosystem of a person is working, in what speed, the cognitive metabolism is working. Then after this, we need to know how to use this neurosystem. That's the important thing. Because it's like we're saying that I'm being born with a sword. How of it is a butter knife or a sword of a katana that, you know, the Shaolin swords gives us an idea. Now, let's say for the gifted, we say you're being born with a katana, a Shaolin sword. Great. What do you do with it? You know? And you have to be trained. Otherwise, you have a baby with a katana running in your house. And you all know how this feels. You know? It cuts you, other people, your furniture, sometimes themselves. But we can be like, with all this myth about IQ, which is like, how sharp is your sword? We say, oh, you know, it's because their sword is really sharp. That's why. But the thing is that, you know, they have to stop killing people in your apartment. You know what I mean? Like destroying your furniture. Like that's the case. And from Greed, I heard this from Gifted Children Denmark, saying that, you know, giftedness is not an excuse. It's an explanation. Same thing when we're talking about IQ, it gives us an idea. It says to us this, but it can't stop there. The next worst thing that we do is that we say, oh my God, my kid is born with a katana. Amazing. When they grow up, they will be Shaolins. Like, no. First of all, they can be murderers. They can be assassins. And also, they can take their katana because they got afraid of how sharp it is and they didn't know how to use it. And, you know, put it on the wall. And it happens a lot. Right above the fireplace, you know, where we put everything that we want to show to people. but we don't use them. You know what I mean? It's called underachievement in our land. So, you know, yeah, I have all this diploma, but I'm doing nothing because I'm really scared, you know, use my brain to full potential. So it goes like this. And that's why I would like not to stay to IQ. So let's say we figured this out. Then people have named more stuff. They've named the EQ. Have you ever heard of this? Like EQ, you can like nod, yes, like EQ, emotional quotient or emotional intelligence. They're not moving. Oh yeah, they're moving. Thank you, Maria Allison Home. Is that your name? Like, okay. And then we have SQ. Have you ever heard of this? You can do the same thing as Marie, like, or it's like, no, okay. So SQ is the spiritual intelligence. Whenever you have a Q, you say quotient, okay? So Q stands for quotient. And then we also have CQ that we really need. CQ is the cultural one, cultural quotient, okay? And of course, we'll have something else that you most probably heard of it. It's the PQ. It's the physical one. Physical, like, you know, what's going on with your body. Okay. Now let's see why we need all of those. So let's say you have a katana IQ, right? Okay, you're having a katana IQ, so you're gifted. You're gifted. What a gift. What a gift. It's so much work to do with it to enjoy this gift. Okay, so you're gifted. And imagine so you're having this katana, but you have poor physical quotient. Like hard, huh? More work to do. And let's say though that you have great physical quotient. So check and check. What else do you need? Let's see. Maybe you need to have cultivate your cultural quotient. Why? Because all your life, you're going to be in between people that most probably 99% will not be gifted. Okay? And the more you say, oh my God, I don't understand them, you will be one looking at 99 people saying, I don't get you. But you want to have 99 people looking at you and say, we don't get you. Okay? So if someone needs to cultivate their cultural intelligence and skills, that would be the gifted. Okay? Because it's like driving up the highway, but in the wrong direction. So you're going like and looking all these cars saying, where is everybody going? And they're looking at you and you're the only one. Okay? So you need to be a good driver with us. Furthermore, we'll talk about the need of emotional intelligence. Why we need that too? Emotional intelligence is really important for our intrapersonal skills. So cultural is for the interpersonal and emotional is for the intrapersonal skills. Why we need this? Because we need to be in contact with ourselves. We need to be able to see where we are, what makes us feel nice and what not, and how to move from that place that we don't feel nice to the place that we feel nicer. And then, why we need the SQ? SQ. the spiritual part. It's my favorite thing. The SQ helps with this. So let's say you're having your katana, right? Cool. So I'm having my katana and I have excellent physical skills. I'm playing with my katana here, right? Okay. And then I see the 99 of people and I don't understand them, but I have cultural intelligence cultivated. So it's like, it's average population and I'm gifted and it's cool, we're different. Okay. And then I don't feel nice though, being alone with all these 99 people. So it's cool with me because I have my EQ and I'm going to go to the Gifted Institute. It's going to take some time, but I'm going to find more people there and we're going to be happy and fine. But then I look at the time and I have, I want them now, but I have takes 1 hour to go there or wait for 1 week. Now let's see what the spiritual intelligence does. It does this. Okay, I'll wait. It's 1 week. You know what I mean? That's a combo of it all. But we people keep saying that, is your child gifted? What's the IQ? Okay, then we know what we do with it. And what we say is, okay, great, your child was gifted. Now let's see what's going on with the rest of the stuff so they feel comfortable with themselves, with others, and while waiting for, their needs to be met. Okay, now let's see this. If we can say, where does it answer all this? Is IQ answers to the question, how am I thinking? Remember, like how my cognitive metabolism works? So it's like, how am I thinking? If we ask, what's the question of the EQ, says, how am I feeling? Okay, that's the question that we have to answer. Then the SQ is, how do I interact? The CQ, I apologize. How do I interact? And the spiritual says, who am I? Who am I? Okay. While we're working with the Gifted Institute and we're doing all this research and we're trying to have the resources and we're providing to the kids all this, think of it as a brain workout or gym. Lots of times people are asking me, how many years should my kid come to participate to the gifted education programs you provide? I say, how many years do you have to go to the gym? Like the more we know and we're sure about how to answer for ourselves these questions, we're fit, okay? If we do not keep working this and on this, we lose our fitness, same way our physical cue lose its fitness. So it's something that you can join for long, you can join for all your life, you can join up to a point, learn what to do, take the skills and the workouts and keep doing themselves and yourself wherever you are. You can do anything you want as long as you understand that you're not simply defined by your IQ. You're not only defined by this and your physical intelligence is something that is being given and provides to you your individuality. Other than that, growing up, you have to move from individuality to personality. And that's your work. It's how you choose to cultivate this basic potential that is being given to you. Gifted. You're gifted with some, qualities, but how you cultivate them, that's important. That's your work. Okay? And that's why you need to answer it like, how am I thinking? How do I feel? How do I interact? Who am I? Okay? Are we still doing great? Yay, excellent. Nice. Okay. Now I'm going to try to give you some more info to each one of those, like a small paragraph, let's say. Okay, so when I'm having an EQ, skills, I have cultivated my skills, EQ-wise, then I do know when I feel okay, as I said before, and I know when I don't feel okay. How does it look like? You know, how it feels in me, how it feel, where do I feel in my body that I'm stressed? Where do I feel like in my thoughts that, you know, I'm not okay? You know, some people are stressed and say, you know, I'm stressed. I know because I'm having butterflies in my stomach. Some people say that. Okay, other people say, you know, I feel like I want to move a mountain. That's why I know I'm stressed. Depends. And then, since I know how it feels to be nice and how it feels in my body, and then I know how does it feel not to be nice in my body, EQ is the path. We know the path on how to move on from the place that we don't feel nice to a place where we feel nice. And people think, okay, that's GPS, you know, I don't feel nice at my girlfriend's house, so I move on to my place, taking this road. No, I don't mean that. Maybe you need that, but it's a state of mind. It is a state of mind. So it's, you know, thinking this way doesn't make me feel nice. So how can I change my perspective? Maybe how can I train myself into facing a condition, a situation in a way that I feel okay? Make sense? Okay. So these are my intrapersonal skills, and they're actually helping with balancing the feeling, okay, that is very interesting. Maybe you need that info too. It is balancing the feeling that is being created between the reason and the goal. So I'm having a reason to move to this goal. Being able to manage with skills, intrapersonal skills, the feelings in between this path, the bridge, that is EQ. So people may be going there screaming and kicking. That's your EQ, dudes. People may go there, you know, laughing and singing all along until they reach their goal. That's your EQ too. You know what I mean? So in a way, remember that's EQ, and the skills we cultivate is to make this bridge walk really nice, to be able to enjoy it, you know. Then we can move on to CI, cultural intelligence. And I would say, you know, it's simple. That is simple. These are the skills that make me be able, maybe the manners. We have this. We lost it a bit, but we do have this historically, knowing how to, you know, work with other people that are not the same like us. Okay, this is something that is being taught widely. How do we say, like my brain is not, savoir vivre, do you know that? You know, that's a way of like how we treat people, manners. And the more we're able to use it, the more we're able to apply it, the more we're going to have this interaction in a politically correct, but same time nice flow. Don't look at, this thing with Russia and Ukraine. This is the example that, CQ didn't really work there, okay? They need some support to that. They don't really have it. Okay, now I'm gonna move to SQ, my favorite thing, my thing. Okay, what is this? This is the one that gives us, anytime we wanna use this tool, it gives us the opportunity of this balanced walk, do you remember? To actually apply it. Imagine that it is like the glue between the emotional intelligence and intelligence. The glue is spiritual intelligence. Okay, why? Because we're having info and stimuli all the time that influence our feelings and emotions. And having SI skills, spiritual intelligence, these skills cultivated help us filter this stimuli coming in and our feelings that are being influenced, all of these overexcitabilities coming up, filter them and keep being balanced. Okay, so that's why it works like the glue, like aerosols. I can be more specific to this. So it's what we're calling awareness practice. It's what we're calling mindfulness. It's what we're calling the application of our identity. It's concentration. These are the ingredients of it. And it's actually our ability to filter, to perceive, and to judge, in a way, what's going on inside you and outside of you, and being able to work out all these feelings into the greater, better good. And, soothness. Okay? Does it make sense? Yay. Great. Okay. Do you have any questions now? No. Yay, there are questions.
I received one email saying it just makes so good sense.
Okay, then I'm having questions. Okay. Now let's talk about this. Let's move a step further. We're going to school, here in Greece at least, and in the US to the most extent. In Greece, totally not. In the US, 90% versus 10%, 5%, 95 to 5%. I'm not really sure about Denmark, to be honest, and you may correct me, but we do learn everything about math. And these are skills, knowledge and skills. What it is, what to do with it. We do learn, history, geography, physics, chemistry. History, question mark. Because of this, Russia and Ukraine, I don't think they have history there. They don't have there. We have history. You have history. We may learn, this robotics, like this kind of stuff. But, all these titles, have you ever heard of a title of a lesson that it says, how to deal with sadness? Like the sadness lesson. As we know, because I say to you chemistry, and you know what I'm talking about. I say mathematics, you know what I'm talking about. If I say sadness, loss, disappointment, failure, risk. I don't know, do you have them in Denmark? Because we do not. Intensity, frustration, maybe at least a class that you have all of those together, and you know, it says how to face all these together. No. Okay. All these are a line between EQ, SQ, CQ, and we'll learn nothing about it. If we learn how, you know, to interact with others, we're like, you know, don't hit your classmates. We'll take you to the principal and you're gonna be grounded. Okay. Or there's another good one. Like, you know, you took an exam and you didn't make it as you wanted, so you felt failure, you know? So they say, it's okay, don't cry. I'll try next time. A great lesson, like this kind of stuff, you know. Have you ever said to anyone, don't cry, and they stop? Like they're upset and you say, don't be upset. Maybe they're more upset after this. But anyway, you know, in brackets, moving on. We don't learn how to communicate with others. Most of it with ourselves. We don't learn how to communicate ourselves to the outer world. And this is what we're trying to do at the programs. And this is what you're trying as parents. And actually, the whole country, the whole world, simply by not teaching this kind of stuff in the syllabus at schools, they're expecting all of this to be learned from home, from, you know, parents, guardians, grandparents, television, internet, movies. And that's why, you know, maybe that's why we have all this with Russia and Ukraine. Maybe this is happening. So it depends on us. How are we gonna teach our children this? And guess what now? When we have gifted, that's the 1%. And they're born with a katana. And they need to know all this. And you're expected to teach them how. And you know what? Based on statistics and the research in giftedness and how not spread it is, most probably if you have gifted children, you're gifted yourself. And if you're gifted yourself, you're being trained not as gifted and not supported in a social emotional way that you do not know by heart, and you do not know from television, you do not know from the internet. It was existing. Yes, if you're my age, you did have internet all along, and you didn't learn from these places how to treat your children. You didn't learn how to treat yourselves, first of all, how to treat your giftedness, how to support yourselves. What is self-care for gifted? You know? And definitely self-care is not learn more maths. Literally, it is not. Okay? So, the other thing that we do to our children is they go to kindergarten. What did you learn? First grade. I hope you're a good classmate. Third, you know, don't be that opinionated, you know, stay calm, this kind of stuff. Then we say, don't be rebellious. Come on, you know, they're like this, but try to do this. Read more, focus on your studies, come on. And anyway, they end up 18 and they're done with school. You know what we say to them? Now, what I want from you is not to comply and to be happy and to support yourself all along for the rest of your lives. And you have approximately 80 years in front of you, maybe more. And what I taught you is completely different from what I'm asking you to do for the next 80 years of your life. Which means for the rest of the 80 years that are remaining, at least for you, at all stages of your life, after our participation to our school years, in order to be successful, we need to know how to use right to our benefit and to others' benefit, our IQ, our CQ, our EQ, and our SQ. Would you like me to give you some examples of, what bullying is? And bullying in the means of not using right, my IQ, this kind of stuff. So, for example, when I am hitting a person, kicking a person, push a person, when I am stealing things, hiding things, destroying things, when I am forcing someone to do something that they don't want to, when I am teasing, when I'm insulting, and teasing, in a sarcastic way, when I'm insulting, when I'm calling them, I'm labeling people and I'm calling them nicknames with not sweetie, but the other way around. When I'm denying to participate to discussion, when I do silent treatments, when I ignore the needs of other people, when I ignore my needs, when I isolate people, when I isolate myself, when I lie, when I create rumors for people, then what I do is I'm using physical abuse. I am doing cultural, social abuse, or verbal abuse. Now, what I need you to think is that, of course, we're doing this kind of stuff. Me too. But it's a good thing to know, when we know that we actually use our SQ, IQ, EQ right. So I'm going to give you some maybe examples the other way around. How it is when we're having, what are the symptoms when we have them cultivated? Okay, are you in for this? You're not in. Are you? Yes, you are. Okay. When you're not afraid to express your feelings, when you're not devastated by negative thinking and negative emotions, when you know how to keep balance between your feelings with reasoning, cognition, awareness, and a touch-based reality. When you're feeling independent, morally, connected and communicating with others, when you feel respected and you do respect, when your motivation is not to conquer, is not only to make money, when it's not all about power, when it's not only about fame or the opinion of the others, but you are actually independent, keep doing the right thing and keep your ID for you and not to gain anything of what I said before. When you do care about the feelings of people around you and not only for the ones who are like your close family, but for people around you. And not only people, animals, you know, plants too, stones, whatever, but you care. They don't have feelings, but you care. When you're not the person who is losing themselves out of fear or stress, when they know when to talk and when to stop, when you know what being tactful is, and when you are resilient emotionally through life, then these are the symptoms of doing it right. And this is actually how we are trying to make sure that our kids do cultivate these skills through our gifted ed programs. We're not only focusing like, do you understand what self-management skills are? Like theoretically, no. That's why we're trying to create the place, the arena that, you know, they are learning about and then they practice it. So our teachers may tease them, may, you know, say to them, okay, let's say that you have stress. Think of this. Go there. I gave you this tool. What else you would do differently? How would you protect yourself towards this? And they, you know, change roles and they play all these kind of games. And it's tough. And they get sweaty. And it goes like this. And they don't make it out of the box like, boo, I did it. No. But they keep practicing and we keep measuring and we know where we met them and where we want them to go to, and we reward them along the way for their behavior towards themselves and others. And actually, that's a thing to know, is that the more they cultivate these skills, they don't care if we reward them that, oh, you did this, because they know, because they feel nice. They don't care. They don't care about our opinion saying to them, oh, good job. They can sense that it is a good job. And, you know, that's even nicer. Your questions led me to yeah, they do lead me to this that I wanted to say as a wrap up, that you know, people are asking all this, oh, that's so difficult, how I'm gonna teach this and all this kind of stuff, but they forget, they skip a part that is very important and says that, you know, yeah, it's difficult, but it's teachable, which means that behavior, as you know, is something we learn. And anything that we do behavior-wise and we don't like, it can be unlearned and learn something new. So that's a very important and optimistic thing to always remember, that, as you said about your child, that maybe he's kicking, punching, whatever, screaming. That's a behavior learned for some reason. That's why I talked about like maybe the mentor or the people who sees doing this and gaining something. Or it's something, you know, the child learned and it helps him or her to express themselves, and you can unlearn it by giving a new habit. Teach the child a new habit. That is very important. that yes, anytime on earth, we can learn these skills. As long as you want it, you can learn these skills. The second thing is that EQ, it's not something standard, like our physical intelligence and our intelligence is kind of fixed, like mostly fixed. Can change, but we will not change deviations. We will not change that much. 5 to 10 points maybe, but tops. All the rest are changing, and we can work on them and keep having them high, but we can always and also lose our fitness. So this is also something that you need to remember. That most probably, if you feel that your EQ, is not that high, or you have more of the rest of the symptoms, then it's like you're saying, my abs are not ripped. Well, it's because most probably you didn't do abs. So start doing abs, you're gonna have abs. Goes like this. Up to now, we do not really know that there are genes that have to do with emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence, or cultural. So that's another good thing, because there are people, I'm saying that because there are some people who say, I'm like this. This is who I am. And no, you're not. You're not born this way. You learn to be this way. So, take it easy. You can start anytime. And I will finish up strong with this social emotional learning. And then I can give more examples on this if you would like us to keep going. It's I'll give this Aristotle's quote that I love. And being Greek, I have to do this. I don't have a Viking quote, but I'm going to give like an ancient Greek book that says, he said that, to be upset is easy. But to know to be upset with the right person for the right reason, at the right intensity level, at the right moment, for the right goal, that's hard. And this is all we talked about in his quote. I'm very upset that I have to give like a 1 hour lecture and he gave a quote. But, at least this guy is an ancient Greek one. Yep, I'll stop this somewhere here. And I will say that the rest of these EQs, I just want you to remember that are really important in order to have this, the use of IQ and make it work for you and for the people around you. And I'll stop right there, somewhere there with this. I don't want to make you scientists on the field, because I'm going to lose my job,
To wrap it up and sum it up, it's been a pleasure listening to you. And thank you so much for also explaining what we do on our camps and what we do with the busy brains and the hungry brains and all this stuff. What I can tell to everyone who's listening is that the recording will most probably be sent with our newsletter. And at some time, it will also be at our website. I have no idea how we're going to do that yet, but we're getting to it. And then the next online lesson will probably be with your mentor, Danae. That would be with Professor Michelle Kane.
Lucky you guys. Can I participate?
We will probably know more about the date when she comes back from visiting her mom. So that will be midst of March. So yes, but thank you so much everyone for showing up and joining, and hopefully you enjoyed it as much as we did. And yeah, please spread the word, because it's very important, just spreading how we do understand all the intelligence types that we have, from being the emotional side to the cognitive side to the psychomotor and so forth. So thank you so much, Danae. And I think we will applaud you without unmuting.
Okay, and I
Okay.
applaud you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for inviting me. And you know, let's do some work. We have lots of it. Have a good night. Kalinichta. Good night. Bye. Bye.